Spanish Romance is not an easy piece. It's not easy, it's not a beginner piece. And if you can handle bar chords well, it can be a very good advanced beginner piece, but still it falls more under the intermediate category. If you are a beginner, you just simply don't have the learning strategy to figure out how to approach it and build this piece up layer by layer, because you can't just push yourself through this piece note by note, hoping that it'll stick. The best thing you can do to learn this piece or to improve it is to break it down into layers, like I just said. And the best part of it is that this method applies to any similar pieces, so you can approach Etude in E minor by Tárrega the same way. Now, to show you this method, I'm going to use sheet music for visual representations. If you want to use tabs, please be my guest, but it's just so much better to use sheet music to visualize these musical concepts. So I like to break this piece down into little learning blocks or focus elements, and first I recommend working on the melody alone. So find a fingering that you can use even when you will add the rest of the notes and chords later on, and work on a consistent melody tone and volume, because this is going to be the most noticeable part of your playing. So you want to make it sound really smooth and warm. And I think if you start working on all the notes at once from the first attempt, you will spread your attention too thin and you won't be able to notice when your melody starts to sound choppy or inconsistent. And by isolating the melody and focusing on it, you will be able to notice or observe everything a lot better. You will catch the little nuances. So just to show you what I mean, I would go and recommend something like this. And you notice how I'm using my ring finger for each of the plucks, each of the notes. And it's simply because I don't want to practice alternate picking on the melody if I'm not going to use alternate picking on it later on, right? Because when I'm going to play all the notes, the melody note will be played with my ring finger all the time. So I might as well practice it like that from the beginning. The full piece sounds something like this. So because of that, I'm going to practice with my ring finger. And like I said, in the left hand, I'm going to use the same fingering as I'm going to use later when I play the piece normally. The next layer is going to be chords. We're going to add chords, and you can do this two different ways. Either by plucking a chord with each melody note or only with the first beat. And I think you should start with the latter because that's a little bit easier to do. This step is also when you start to teach your left hand fingers where they need to be and how to transition from one chord to the next one smoothly and efficiently. So in short, when you work on your chords alone without the arpeggio pattern, you can focus better on your finger placement and your accuracy. Oops. And so on and so on. I think the goal is to be able to play this chords version in a consistent speed. So when you notice that switching from one chord to the next takes you longer, or you have to pause and stop and you lose your rhythm and tempo, you just need to work on that little chord change a little bit longer. You can also use a slow-paced metronome to practice with, and it's going to help you to catch your tempo fluctuation more easily. The metronome is not going to make you play faster, that's not what metronomes are for, but it's going to show you when you're losing speed. The next layer, the third layer, is the arpeggio pattern, and this is when you start playing the piece as it is written. And if you did everything right up until now, you will feel a lot more confident and more equipped with the right technique rather than starting to practice, like this from the first attempt. And when you add the arpeggio, you'll already have practiced how to play the melody smoothly, how to change chords efficiently, and how to approach bar chords. So now you can focus more on this new thing, the new technique, which is the consistent arpeggio picking. And by the way, I love approaching every piece I learn with this same kind of deconstructional thinking. Maybe this same layering system doesn't apply to every pieces, but you get the idea. You want to isolate problems from each other, work on them separately, and figure out the right way to put them back together. Now on this level or layer, I would highly recommend you to try to practice the arpeggio pattern in a very rhythmic way, in a very consistent tempo. I know that it's difficult because every classical guitar piece have this natural flow and you want to play some parts faster and then calm it down. So like every piece has its natural pulsing. But on this level, I think you should work on your technique first and foremost, and musicality with all the dynamic and tempo changes can be another layer you can add later on. On this level, I think you can use a metronome to practice in various ways. So for example, you can set the metronome to have a click on each of the notes you play, something like this. And speeding that up gradually over time. Or you can also have one click for each of the three notes. Yeah, you have lots of different ways to approach this. My point is, try to be more technical or rhythmical on this layer. And like I just mentioned, I think the final layer can be musicality and expression, for example. And this is where you can focus more on the voicing, like bringing the melody out and hiding the accompaniment, maybe changing the volume and the tone, creating those swells and phrasing in the piece, the pulsing I was talking about. This can be a really good final layer that you can add once you feel confident with the technique. I actually just meant this video to be a lighter tutorial with just quick tips, quick help, and to just show you this concept, the way I approach this piece. But I created an online course where I do go deep into every layers. So if you like this approach, I recommend you to check out my course where I teach this piece, Spanish Romance, and all the related fundamental techniques like bar chords and arpeggios. And this is basically a 7-day program with 7 daily lessons, but depending on your skills, it's very likely that it's going to keep you busy for a lot longer. Honestly, I'm so weirdly proud to let you know that I added new materials to this course just now, including more aid on the bar chord section, because apparently that's the most difficult part. I also added a play along with sheet music and tabs, and all the PDF materials are available in tab format now. And to celebrate the bonus lessons, I've decided to run a little autumn sale on the course, so you can grab it 25% off in the next couple of weeks. Let me know which part you liked, which part was difficult for you, and where you feel like you need some more aid and more help. I'd love to hear from you, because that's how I can improve this course further and further.